Hi folks, welcome back to Toadstool Tarot. Okay, here's the deal. I ordered the Inversion Tarot, which I wasn't going to order because I'm not so much into pip decks these days, or Marseille. But I do love a deck and a tin. So I saw a walkthrough of these, and one of the things I was thinking about is I had bought this beautiful bag that I really love. The problem with this bag is it doesn't have much space inside, and I like to carry a tarot deck with me when I go out for coffee. So if I put a regular sized tarot deck in here, there's not much space for anything else. So I thought, well, I either need a really small deck that's not too thick, or perhaps a majors only deck. And when I saw this Inversion tarot deck and the pips, I thought, ooh, that just might be my solution. Because that's the thickness of the deck. But if I take out the majors only, look what that leaves me with. A perfectly sized little deck to put in a bag to carry in my bag. And do I really need more than the majors only? I have 2 or 3 majors only decks. And depending on what the illustrations are on the rest of the cards, most of what you need is in the majors. Subtleties are in the minors. But anyway, so I looked at this deck, and now another issue I'm having is, I will show you this deck, but these are reverse images. They're white on black backgrounds, and I love black borders and black background cards. But here's my new dilemma. I'm considering, though I'm not a deck modifier by design, what do you think about the idea of my getting some permanent markers, a whole set of them, and coloring my own deck like we do with coloring books? Wouldn't that be fun? If I do that, I might even do it with the minors and add colors to the various numbered elements in the suit that might help me intuitively read them better. So it's an idea, something to think about. Meanwhile, let me show you the cards before I modify them in case I do. And if I decide to modify them, I'll do another walkthrough and add the link below. So, if you don't know already, tarots in a tin are wonderful. They really protect your cards. Beautiful, sturdy little tins. They're made by US Game Systems, and I just love them. I have maybe 4 different ones right now. This one, the Inversion Tarot, comes with a little white book like they all do. I haven't looked at it yet. I don't believe it tells you a whole lot. Card meanings, half a page to each one, a few key phrases and reversed meanings. Yeah, it's all in English. It's about 62 pages, a couple of spreads near the end, nothing special. There's a little tiny history at the front. It says this deck is based on and inspired by the artwork created in the 1960 Rolla Nordic Tarot by Paul Matheson. The artist and designer of this deck is Jody Boginski Barbesi, who I recall having collaborated on the Influence of the Angels tarot, which is entirely different from this deck. But it's an interesting, trivial note, perhaps, for you all. Now, might as well look at these cards. The thing I notice first about the cards is they feel really nice. They're, the mini size, like they come in a tin, but not as mini cards. They're almost like a playing card size, but a little narrower, which is nice. They have an almost plasticky feel. They look like they have been die cut. The edges are a little sharp, but I don't feel an obnoxiously noticeable lip on them. The odd thing is, though, you can feel the way that they're cut as if the fronts are the backs and the backs are the fronts. What I mean to say is you can feel the edge of the cut lip on this side of the card, which is the back. That's the design of the backs. And we'll just skitter right through these images. So there you have the Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, the Hierophant, the Lovers, the Chariot, Strength, the Hermit, Wheel of Fortune, Justice, the Hanged Man, Death, Temperance, the Devil, the Tower, the Star, the Moon, the Sun, Judgment, and the World. That's the majors. Now, one thing about these is that if I do decide to color them, they have an eensy-meensy copyright on here. So I could easily take a little black marker and just blot out that copyright if I decide to do so. Let's go through the minors. Here's the Ace of Cups. They are nicely drawn, but they're not the same arrangements as a traditional Marseille deck. I think they're kind of handsome in a way. And what I might just do, I'm still trying to decide, I might live with them for a bit, is whether to modify this deck or buy a second copy of this and leave one as is and modify the second one. Geez, if I've given you all some ideas, I may have raked in big bucks for U.S. game systems selling 2 decks to all the collectors, one to leave alone and one to color. One thing I notice that this deck doesn't have, that I wish it did have, is an ad card for me to experiment on with my markers. What I think I'd best do if I am going to do the coloring thing is try it out on one of the pip cards first to see if it's going to work. If they're permanent, then they shouldn't bleed, right? You people who work with markers could tell me. And hopefully the marker won't rub off in shuffling. I'm not a rough shuffler, but these are kind of slick cards. I'm just hoping that the permanent marking is permanent, won't bleed through to the backs, and also won't smear or rub off when shuffled or handled over time. Any of you who have done deck modding with permanent markers, aside from edging, that is to say on the surface of the cards, please let me know in your comments how it went for you and what kinds of issues came up. It may depend largely on the cardstock of the material that you're using, or the type of markers you're using. I did a search on Amazon for permanent markers, and they have a lot of lovely sets at reasonable prices from a variety of different companies. So I'm debating, I really need to kind of study these cards and consider what colors I might wish to use and whether I want to limit my palette or open it up to a large array of colors, because they have sets as few as 7 or 8 colors up to 30 and even like 60 different colors. So I'm real curious to see, what all of yous out there think. It'll be also fun to play with the backs in terms of coloring, unless I leave the backs alone. I suspect I would color them in, but I don't know if I'll do a solid color or checkerboard them or add a whole variety of colors in a pattern. Just opens up to a world of creative expression. It's kind of exciting. So I wanted to dash and get this online tonight, because what I might just do is go ahead and get my Amazon order in for some permanent markers. And then while I'm waiting for them to arrive in a couple of days, I will hopefully hear from all of you and decide how I want to proceed. So what do you think? Should I do it? Shouldn't I do it? Should I keep one set as it is? Order a second set? What's the verdict, folks? To mod or not to mod? That is the question. Write me in the comments below.